Ah! What's happening?
When we last left Marty and Doc in 1931, they had just escaped from both the police and Hill Valley's own little mafia run by Biff Tannen's ancestor, Kid. Marty started to fade out of existence, so, as an episodic cliffhanger, we learned our date-displaced duo had failed to properly fix the time stream. They quickly figure out that meddling in Doc Brown's young life has caused major difficulties in the McFly family tree, namely Patronus, killing Marty's grandfather. Now, as any good Futurama fan knows, there is an easy enough way to fix this problem, but I'm guessing the toothless comedy of Telltale won't be using incest as a puzzle solution, even though it was totally a major part of the first movie. That dullness is becoming a bit of a theme in Telltale's Back to the Future series. The source material of Back to the Future was filled with swear words, incest jokes, and a shitload of fecal humor. Telltale's games have allusions to swearing, hand-holding, and use cutaways to avoid adult content. That might just be a stylistic or narrative decision. Maybe the prudish times of Prohibition would be enough to make a young, repressed Doc Brown not swear, when later, as he mentors a teenager, he does. But there are enough craps, jerks, and Carl Sagans standing in for swear words, you start to get the feeling that this is being made for a different audience than the movies. I guess PG was a little too risque.
I couldn't help but overhear.
No, Carl, no. Go away. Shut up. No. Though, this time around, the game did get me to snort once, which is an infinite increase over the previous episode. I suspect it's because I learned halfway through Semimax Save the World that you should turn off all subtitles on Telltale games. The writing is not strong enough to stand up to having a punchline ruined, but the voice work is. Now, compared to the last episode, this writing is clearly better. In the first episode, Doc is stuck in jail, so Marty has to figure out a way to break him out. But the thing is, Marty is a master of time and space. The DeLorean runs on garbage, and the future, just like every other future in science fiction, is filled with magic. Marty, tell Doc you'll be right back. Check your watch. Walk back to the DeLorean, travel to the future, get a teleporter, and come back to his jail cell 3 minutes after you left. Time travel solves every problem. Except that of a paradox, which is what we're facing in this second episode. Presumably, if Marty or Doc leaves, the time-space continuum will be changed and everything will be terrible. So it makes more sense this time out that they're spending all their time in the 30s trying to get Marty's grandfather laid. It's not all an improvement, though. At one point in the last game, you decide your name for your stay in the past. The rest of the game, people referred to my Marty as Mr. Corleone, which was nice, right? Well, apparently, whatever save file notifier was used in the first episode didn't get picked up by the second because the game only referred to me as the other two names I didn't pick.
Hello, Harry.
Harry? Mr. Callahan? Mr. Crockett? What can I do for you?
That's not a writing problem per se, but it is half-assed. You might have noticed Marty doesn't fade out like in the movies here, and there's only 6 areas that you actually perform actions in. The Hill Valley Town Square, where you spent 70% of your time in the last episode, you spend 70% of your time in here. Only now, it's dark out. Things like that are starting to give me the feeling that Telltale isn't really trying for something professional. They aren't trying for something that has cultural value on its own. The Back to the Future episodes from Telltale have been pretty lackluster so far, but hopefully the final 3 episodes will step up to the plate. The next step in Prohibition/totalitarian Hill Valley looks pretty neat. It will still be locked in that weird Telltale graphical style that doesn't really work well with a live-action source, but at least it should have something like the great music from the movies and passable voice acting. Something I enjoyed a bit more this time out, mostly from a slight change in AJ Locasio's voice. In the first episode, he sounded a bit congested and really only shined when he had cause to scream or get excited. This time he doesn't really shout as much, but each line seems slightly closer to Michael J. Fox.
Get Jennifer on the phone. She'll recognize my voice.
So this episode of Back to the Future was slightly better in its overall presentation than the last one, which leaves us with the gameplay. This was, without a doubt, the stupidest adventure game I've ever played. And not stupid like a Solution in Space Quest stupid. You won't have to throw butter at a flying magical mouse or anything. But you also won't get to play any awesome Street Fighter clones. No, it's stupid like... It's the most simple adventure game I've ever played. This is one of the puzzles.
Artie? I better pick up their trail before I start fading out again.
Where do we go? That might just seem like a way of telling you where to go to advance the plot. At this point, you've just arrived in the town square, and if we didn't play the last episode, which really you should have since you can't buy individual episodes, we really don't know where to go. But no, it's a puzzle because of things like this.
I'm sure they didn't go in there.
The whole game takes about 2 hours, and it's filled with more than a few such scenes. It's like that point in Metal Gear Solid 2. In every Metal Gear Solid where you watch a cutscene, walk down a hallway, and watch another cutscene. Only in the case of Metal Gear Solid, you'd eventually get to some fun and challenging gameplay. And for a while, it was the only place to get that wonderful "War is bad" storyline that every developer thinks we gamers love now. The brainless, repetitive gameplay is really upsetting. And you only need to think for like 15 minutes of it. Some of it seems like padding just to make the game longer. At the start of the game, you just crawl around and wait
Friend,
for...
it seems you're very hot and bothered about something.
Well, yeah, actually, Carl,
Hot and bothered would be an accurate description of the universe during its creation at the so-called Big Bang. Oh, God. I'm sorry, friend, but there is almost certainly no God.
Carl! Get out! Ugh, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Back to the Future Episode 2, Get Tannen gets a 2 out of 5.